Hey there. You are listening to the Oh Crap Potty Training Podcast, and I am your host, Jamie Glowacki. I am the author of Oh Crap Potty Training and Oh Crap, I Have a Toddler. Today, I want to talk about poop. I feel like that's all I talk about is poop. It is, really. I want to talk about when and where like poop can get kind of funky. And then I want to talk about privacy and poop. So people will ask me all the time, my kid's poop is green, or my kid's poop has mucus, or my kid's poop has this. So Google the Bristol Stool Chart. That's a really good place to start on what a poop should look like. And generally speaking, we want a log that is well formed. So you don't want a log that looks like little nuggets that are pieced together. That indicates constipation. There's I forget exactly how many types of poop there are, but they all, they kind of tell you what's going on. Yeah. And when a poop shouldn't look like how it looks. And I'm mentioning this because when I have private clients, I often have them text me pictures of the poop, and I see the most bizarre looking poops, and pediatricians are like, oh, that's normal. That's normal. That's normal. And it's really not normal. So if your kid's poop is looking funky, you really want to get some help, because a lot of times that's a allergy or sensitivity, or the microbiome is kind of funky. And the microbiome can be affected by numerous things, whether or not you had a C-section, whether or not you breastfed, right from the get-go, your microbiome when you were pregnant. And so kids can come into the world with a disadvantage to their gut microbiome. So again, it's called the Bristol Stool Chart, and it's widely recognized as the gold standard for poop charts. And you want to try to address those issues. So like really watery, kind of stringy poop oftentimes is like not proper fat absorption. There's all different kinds of things that can happen. But one area of toddlerhood that comes up with funky poop is teething. So when your child is teething, poop can take a left-hand turn. So my own son, his poop, when he was teething his molars, his poop was neon green. And when I say emptying that little potty chair insert made me almost puke, like I had to put on my biggest game face because it was the stinkiest poop. And he was 2. It wasn't like he was eating a crappy diet. Like I could not believe how nasty the poops were. And it was about a week, like right as the teeth broke the skin. So I just want you to be aware that teething can really mess with poop. It can also cause some diarrhea and or constipation, which I know sounds weird, but it could be constipation one day, then diarrhea the next day. So just be aware of that. It can also affect the urge. So when a child is constipated, and I talk about this all the time, a child can be constipated and still be pooping. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but oftentimes if you are seeing many poops in a day, or, you have a big poop in the morning and then there's still more poop, that's a sign of constipation. More than 3 or more stools is often a sign of constipation, because what happens is, like when a kid poops, if they like pinch off a loaf, some of that poop goes right back up. And so it can get lodged. We're not smooth inside. So poop can get lodged places, and it can just indicate a backup. So be aware of that, even though you might be like, my kid's not constipated, because we tend to think of constipation as not going. Now, when that starts to happen, the bowels get distended, and that can happen with poop withholding and with poop blockages. And when the bowels get distended, that's where the sensation to go poop gets really screwy. So just be aware of that, particularly when your child is teething. The next place is, of course, if they get sick, and there's all kinds of sickness. We're heading into winter, So I'm sure there's going to be stomach bugs abounding. That can really wreck poop too. So if you're in the throes of potty training, if you're in the early days of potty training and any of these things crop up, I would be like, just re-diaper till you get past it. But if you're well into potty training and all of a sudden these things crop up and you notice it's also timed with them sick or them teething, then just be aware, like stay afloat as best you can. If you have to temporarily re-diaper, that's totally okay. Or just kind of try to skate through it if you can. Now, other things that can also affect poop are time changes. So we're heading into our fall time change, which this one is the one that is so brutal. I hate this time change. So be aware that that can screw around with poop. It doesn't tend to screw around the texture of it. What can happen with time changes is, of course, the circadian rhythm can get a little screwy, and when your child goes. So if you're in a daycare situation, for example, and your child is used to pooping before school and all of a sudden they poop their pants at school, that could be time change. So again, these problems can occur anytime, but I'm trying to give you the big markers for them. And travel can often just mess with constipation, especially not going. I think especially if you do air travel or maybe even car travel, what ends up happening is you get dehydrated, and so you make sure you stay hydrated. Always, always, always up the fat, not the fiber. I have been saying this for years and years. I try to say it all the time, but I constantly get clients who are like, no, we're giving her fiber and tons of fiber, but it's not working. And I'm like, no, don't give your child extra fiber, especially supplements, because those tend to really bulk. If you're eating a lot of fiber in food, you get full, your stomach gets full. If you're eating fiber gummies, you don't recognize you're full till that fiber kind of blows up in your stomach, like when it absorbs the water, which is what it's supposed to do. And so it can be really misleading, but also for a lot of kids, they just don't know that they have to drink a lot of water to make that fiber effective, right? If you don't have enough water, fiber is going to clog you up. And that's typically what I see. I see kids with a lot of fiber with distended bellies, distended bowels, and it's not fixing anything. So be cautious on that, but always up the fat. That is the best way to get real nice poops. And get high quality butter. You can always have high quality butter, extra virgin olive oil, avocados. Coconut milk is awesome for pooping, but the kind in the can, not the carton. So find, the BPA free can, and you can add it to smoothies, popsicles, that kind of thing. If you make your own popsicles, don't add it to a store made popsicle. That won't go over very well. But let's talk about privacy and poop, because pooping is a very private function, and very often your kid may not have any notion of privacy at the age you're potty training. That's really common, right? Kids run around naked. They don't mind seeing you naked, or, they have no sense of privacy. They'll poop right where they're standing. But when they start potty training, very often they will get a notion of privacy. And if you're struggling with poop, that notion of privacy can be to your advantage, right? A lot of times I say, if your kid's sitting, they've shown signs that they're about to poop, you get them on the toilet or the potty and nothing's happening, pretend to see something in the other room, or pretend you forgot something in the other room. Like, oh, I forgot to shut the stove off. I'll be right back. And most times those kids will drop it like it's hot, because it's a private function. And part of potty training is the socialized behavior of putting your pee and poop somewhere, right? We are not teaching a child to pee or poop. We are teaching them where to put it. And that's the socialized behavior, right? So the privacy is great, but we are hearing from so many clients that their child has shown, like, they will go under a table to poop, or they'll poop in their fort, or they want to be in the bathroom by themselves for privacy. Awesome. Especially if a kid can ask for it, that is so great. And oftentimes if a kid does have a place that they regularly poop, like they go into a closet to poop, or they go under a table, number one, that is the surest sign you're ever going to see that your child is quote, ready to potty train, end quote. Okay, that is socialized behavior. So I think it's actually very intuitive and totally fine to put the potty chair under the table, or put the potty chair in the blow up fort or tent, something like that. However, if your child is asking for privacy, you are attempting to give it, and then the child poops on the floor, abort the mission. Right now, abort mission. Get the potty chair out from under there, and the child may not go in that place to poop on the floor. So this is happening like with so many people. It's a little freaky. People are doing that. They're letting their child go into a tent, go into a closet or the bathroom by themselves, and the poop is just going on the floor. In that case, your child does need supervision. And I wouldn't I wouldn't hesitate to use just a little bit of over-the-counter stool softener or a little bit of senna to help that child release in your presence. You can be in their presence and have a soft focus on them. So instead of like staring them in the face, you don't have to stare down at them. You don't have to stare at their butt waiting for that poop, but you do need to be a presence there, because otherwise your child is learning that they are pooping on the floor. And as we've talked about, if they're learning new behavior and they're constantly doing a new behavior, that is the thing that's going to go in. We talked about that in the last episode. We do not want them doing a bad habit more than a couple of times, because then that will become the thing they learned. So don't do that. Immediately evacuate, right? Take the potty chair out of those hidden places and say, no, we're going to go to the bathroom together, or the potty chair stays out here, or I come into the fort with you, whatever it looks like for you. Any of those options are fine. So just remember that. I love the idea of privacy. I love when kids ask for privacy, and I love when privacy really cinches up a lot of your poop problems, but don't create another problem in the process. As always, if you are dealing with poop withholding, please get my Pooping Solutions course. It's been updated. It's wonderful. It helps so many families. And if you feel like you need some one-on-one support after you take the pooping course, you can join our poop group. And that is a membership. It's month to month, no obligation. You can stay as long as you get the help you need, leave anytime. And those are the two best resources I have. People ask me, email me, ask on DMs in Instagram, ask on YouTube. I cannot give individualized help. I need to know more about the whole situation, and social media is just not the places to answer that. And I can't give broad spectrum advice like over a podcast when people are having problems. Every kid is different. Every kid needs a little something different. And we try to give broad scopes that help the most people, but very often some people need some more individualized help. Remember, if your child is having poop problems, please get that course sooner rather than later. We all have the tendency to say, well, let's just wait a while and see what happens. And I don't know why this happens, but hope must spring eternal, because oftentimes I get clients whose kids have been withholding or pooping in their pants for 2 years. And that's a hard habit to break, because again, they learned that behavior. So that's the new way of being. So it's really tricky, and poop problems, they just tend to escalate. I haven't seen very many clients for whom poop problems just went away, especially when it comes to withholding. And once a child starts pooping in their pants, those are just really hard habits to break. And it gets even more challenging if they're doing this at school, because they're probably in school because both parents work or you're single. And so trying to fix these problems while a child's in school for many hours a day gets even more complicated, because we don't know what happens there. And we can't micromanage the teacher, and the teacher often doesn't have the time. So get help sooner rather than later, please, because again, these problems just tend to escalate. All right. And again, just to close it out, the stool chart is called the Bristol Stool Chart. Just Google it. You'll get 100 images that'll pull up, and you can get a really good gauge of where your child's poop is at, and if it's healthy or if it's not healthy. All right, you guys, as always, I appreciate you listening, and rock on and have a beautiful day.